A network of over 40,000 facilities in Germany and German-occupied territories were used to concentrate, hold, and kill Jews and other victims. So this wasn't just a few Nazi concentration camps here and there. This was 40,000 facilities in Germany and German-occupied areas that were used to concentrate these people during this period of time. You can't tell me that most of the Jewish population did not know about this, and they did. They obviously did. If you're going to have 40,000 facilities, how many people would it take to staff 40,000 facilities? And with all these people that they were holding and that were killed, there were many of them that, thank God, were saved at the end of the war and brought out of the concentration camps alive, but many, many more perished. Some scholars argue that the mass murder of the Romani and people with disabilities should be included in the definition. Notice, they also killed people with disabilities. And some use the common noun Holocaust to describe other Nazi mass murders, including those of Soviet prisoners of war, Polish and Soviet citizens, and homosexuals. Recent estimates based on figures obtained since the fall of the Soviet Union in 1991 indicate some 10 to 11 million civilians and prisoners of war were intentionally murdered by the Nazi regime. Now, these are papers that just came out in 1991. So the total is 10 to 11 million civilians and prisoners of war were killed during this period of time. And this is, I believe, on top of the 6 million Jews that were killed. So we're looking at 17 million people who were killed during this war, civilians. And I don't want to skip over the fact that homosexuals were killed during this period of time. You know, I don't believe that homosexuality is right, but I love everyone, and I even love the homosexuals who are practicing and who are gay. I wish they wouldn't practice this sin, but I also do not believe they should be exterminated or killed. I don't think they should be allowed to marry, and I know this is a very controversial thing. People don't like me saying this, but it is not of God. In fact, the Bible speaks very clearly about homosexuality. But just to say here that these people should not have been killed just because of their sexual orientation, and I do not think that should happen anywhere in the world, but it is happening. If you're found to be a homosexual in some of the Muslim countries, you are killed because you are breaking the rules of Sharia law and the what's going on in the Quran also. So I do not think this should be happening. It is happening even to this very day that these people are being killed, and like I said, it's just straight out wrong. The persecution and genocide were carried out in stages. Various laws to exclude the Jews from civil society, most prominently the Nuremberg laws in 1935, were enacted in Germany before the outbreak of World War II in Europe. Concentration camps were established in which inmates were subject to slave labor until they died of exhaustion or disease. Where Germany conquered new territories in Eastern Europe, specialized paramilitary units called Einsatzgruppen murdered more than 1 million Jews and political opponents in mass shootings. So we see this group that went into any place that they captured, and this one group was sent in just to exterminate Jews and political opponents. The occupiers required Jews and Romanis to be confined in overcrowded ghettos before being transported by freight train to extermination camps where, if they survived the journey, they were systematically killed in gas chambers. Every arm of German bureaucracy was involved in the logistics that led to the genocides, turning the Third Reich into what the Holocaust one Holocaust scholar called a genocide state. So we see this whole nation participating in the systematic killing and just destruction of human life because they were of an ideology different than what they were. Okay. Other genocides, pragmatic considerations such as control of territory and resources were central to the genocide policy. Israeli historian and scholar Yehuda Bauer argues that the basic motivation for the Holocaust was purely ideological, rooted in an illusionary world of Nazi imagination, where the international Jewish conspiracy to control the world was opposed to parallel Aryan quest. No genocide to date has been based so completely on myths, on hallucinations, an abstract, non-pragmatic ideology. Sorry, I'm stumbling over this, but which was then executed, a very rational, pragmatic means. Basically, they had this thought in their mind, and somebody put this thought in their mind that the Jews were going to be taking over the world, or that was their goal was to take over the world, and they blamed the Jews for everything. And this started to happen many, many years before this, and it's happening today, and we need to be aware of what's going on with regard to the accusations made against Israel and also the great Satan, the United States of America. The little Satan, they say, is Israel, but they are coming out against us and against Israel. And America is, through its government and through its leadership, led by President Barack Obama, is actively turning its back on the nation of Israel. In my Everyday Christianity broadcast that I'm bringing out, I'm going through the book of Genesis right now, and the part of Genesis I'm in right now states that God will bless those that bless Israel, and he will oppose those and destroy those who curse Israel. And we see this many times through the Bible. If you want to know one of the greatest stories, it's about the Egyptians and their bondage in Egypt and how they came out of that. But if you oppose Israel, God will make sure that you are punished for doing so. It is his people. If you don't believe me, look at a recent historical fact was the 7-Day War that happened after the Jewish state was started. There was just a few people that just took several Arab nations to task and just beat them quite easily with hardly any assets at all. And they overtook them and captured a great amount of land also around them. Let me read some more, just so, because young people and even young adults, I want you to know about the Holocaust. You need to understand this, what it was about and why it happened and why we never should forget, because it can happen again. As Neville Chamberlain appeased the Nazis, the United States is appeasing the Iranians. Every time we repeat the mistakes of the past, it comes around and bites you. And people who ignore history are doomed to repeat it. And I don't want you to repeat history. I want you to know what this is all about so that when you see these types of things happening, you can do something about it. So let's talk about the extermination camps in Germany. The use of camps equipped with gas chambers for the purpose of systematic mass extermination of peoples was a unique feature of the Holocaust and unprecedented in history. Never before had there existed places with the express purpose of killing people en masse, meaning just wholeheartedly just killing them. These were established in Auschwitz, Balzak, Shalamno, Jasanovic, Madvidvik, Malay, Trostinos, Sobibor, and Treblinka. So these were extermination camps that people taking out of these other 40,000 facilities that they had there were sent to these camps to be exterminated, and so that nothing could be, known about them later on. They just basically wanted to make them just disappear, and there'd be no trace of them. That's why they burnt them in the ovens in these places. But there were also medical experiments that were done on children. If you had a squeamish stomach, you might want to turn it down for the next minute or so. But there were many physicians who experimented on children in the concentration camps. And the reason that they felt they were able to do this is because they saw the Jewish people as less than human. They weren't even human. So experimenting on them was like experimenting on an animal. And that's how they looked at it. The most notorious of the physician was Dr. Joseph Mengele, who worked in Auschwitz. His experiments included placing subjects in pressure chambers, testing drugs on them, freezing them, attempting to change their eye color by injecting chemical into the children's eyes. And one of the reasons that they were doing this is because they wanted to there were people in Germany that wanted that blue eye Aryan color to their eyes, and that's why they tried to do this, to see if they could do this for people in Germany. So they injected color into these children's eyes. And various amputation and other surgeries. The full extent of his work will never be known because the truckload of records he sent to Dr. Otto von Verschuer at the Kaiser Wilhelm Institute was destroyed by von Verschuer. Subjects who survived Mengel's experiments were almost always killed and dissected shortly afterwards. He worked extensively with Romani children. He would bring them sweets and toys and personally take them to the gas chamber. They called him Uncle Mengele. And then he especially liked to experiment on Jewish twins. And one of the people that was, one of the caretakers of these children said, I remember one set of twins in particular, Guido and Ina, aged about 4. One day, Mengele took them away. When they returned, they were in a terrible state. They had been sewn together back to back like Siamese twins. Their wounds were infected and oozing pus. They screamed day and night. Then their parents, I remember the mother's name was Stella, managed to get some morphine, and they killed the children in order to end their sufferings. It just is a horrific what man can do to man, what we see here. I'd like to go into a little bit of the development of what went on with the reason that this happened. And this started long before the actual Holocaust. In 1895, Volkisch leader Hermann Allward called Jews predators and cholera bacteria who should be exterminated for the good of the German people. In his best-selling book in 1912, When ich der Kaiser were, If I Were the Kaiser, Heinrich Claus, leader of the Volkslicht group, urged that all German Jews be stripped of their German citizenship and be reduced to alien status. Class also urged that Jews should be excluded from all aspects of German life, forbidden to own land, hold public office, or participate in journalism, banking, and the liberal professions. Class defined a Jew as anyone who was a member of the Jewish religion on the day the German Empire was proclaimed in 1871, or anyone with at least one Jewish grandparent. during the German Empire, notions of